Hello, welcome back here today. F1 Manager Sim League. It's been a while, but we are back. It's 8 races. No, not 8 races, 3 races here today. It is Miami, which is a sprint event, followed quite swiftly by the main event. Then afterwards, it's Canada and COTA. So yeah, let's quickly post this link into race streams and then go at it. This is, for context, round 15 to round 17 in this championship. But yeah, let's get into it. The sprint starting grid here today looks a bit like this. George Russell lines up on pole with Charles Leclerc alongside. Then in the Haas, Valtteri Bottas P3, Lando Norris P4, with the second of the two RBs in P5, Théo Pourchaire, followed by Oscar Piastri. Max Verstappen in 7th, 8th is Perez, 9th is Sainz, with Andrea Kimi Antonelli in 10th, Fernando Alonso in 11th, whilst Lewis Hamilton lines up 12th. The Sauber, especially Hamilton, working his way backwards as of recent. Daniel Ricciardo, however, in 13th, still being the strongest of the two Alpines. Yuki Tsunoda 14th, Liam Lawson 15th, Oliver Bearman 16th, Hadjar in P17, Franco Colapinto 18th, Pierre Gasly 19th, and then Alex Albon in P20. However, let's get into it.
And here in Miami, it's time for the sprint.
As we just wait for the start procedure.
And it's lights out, and away we go.
Now the race has started, let's retire both cars quick. And away we go. Russell already clear of the field, you can see there. I've just pressed the wrong button again. But Leclerc fighting Bottas now. Will there be a move for P2? Yes, Bottas round the outside, he's going to be ahead. He leads away. Pourchaire has got a better start than Lando Norris has, which could be crucial for the VCARBS Championship, especially with George Russell, who's only 19 points behind as of current. Lined up quite nicely. Full move here. There's Pourchaire overtaking Charles Leclerc as the VCARB moves up into the top 3. George Russell fastest lap. He's already 2 seconds clear of Valtteri Bottas here. Is quite easily settled already as Bottas mechanical issue strikes on the second lap of the sprint race here. As for a bit of context, last race was the final race of the first half of season. We're now back after summer break in the game cycle, and it's now really a fight between Ferrari and VCARB, with the odd Red Bull and Haas getting involved. As you can see here, Pourchaire right up behind Russell now to the outside, overtakes with DRS. Easy done it. The VCARB now leads with Russell second, Bottas third, and then it's 4th, 5th for the Red Bulls. Lando Norris down in P6. As Piastri trying to overtake Leclerc, to the outside he goes, as Norris goes to the inside, but the Red Bull fights back and hangs on against Lando Norris. As yeah, with the sprint, less points on the board, so every place matters here. And currently, it really does between two Red Bulls. Piastri's in P9. He could mathematically regain P8 over Valtteri Bottas. after this weekend. But will it happen? Don't know. As there's a yellow flag, I couldn't tell who. It was Oliver Bearman running wide in turn 6, so let's have a
Here
look.
we've got the Aston Martin. And they just can't keep on the track. Fighting with the car, just a little perhaps.
Yeah, a rather subtle error, but anyways, we move on. Back to the battle over P4, as Perez has overtaken Lando Norris. The two Red Bulls still duking it out here over 4th place. It's some points for Red Bull at least. And now Russell to the inside and back up into lead he goes. 15 laps are left of the Miami sprint race here today, and that will be the first of 4 races, because yeah, we have a sprint here and then main event, then followed by the Canadian GP, then the American GP at COTA. By now, Cantero Porsche overtake George Russell here into turn 1. DRS is going to be used to the inside, easily ahead of the Ferrari. And now, RB lead once more, but not for long. George Russell regains it into the first corner. Greatly placed there, and therefore really ruining that V-Carb's hopes of the win here in the earlier doors. As one part of this race to keep an eye on is over the last point, Max Verstappen in a fairly failing Sauber. That car going backwards against Antonelli in a fairly quickly rising Haas. We could possibly see in the next few races Haas clearly becoming the best car, as they have been on that upwards trajectory. But who has is George Russell and Terry Porsche. As Porsche, can he make a move? No, he won't. Russell will hang on to the lead into that first corner. And now we just keep watching this fight unravel. It's going to be fairly long lasting, and thus going to just bring so much enjoyment for a long run. Porsche to the inside, up into the lead goes the V-Carb, as there ain't much question about it. But Lando Norris, P5, behind Oscar Piastri. Can he work his way up into the top 4 here? He started 4th, he's currently 5th. His teammate got the better of him in the start procedure, and now fighting for the win. To the inside he goes, and he's back into the top 4. Now it's perfect time to hunt down Valtteri Bottas and see whether or not he could sneak into that podium, as this lap, 3 DRS zones, plenty of opportunities to overtake, such as here. George Russell overtakes on the outside, Bottas even having a little peek to the inside, but just further back Oscar Piastri shimmying his way past. Norris trying to fight back. Currently he succeeds, and I think he's just out of DRS range, and yes he is. Piastri DRS pulls him back ahead of Lando Norris, who will now get DRS here. They're just swapping around relentlessly, as now surely no, Norris doesn't go to the inside, as Leclerc really struggling in the Red Bull. He's going backwards. He's in P8 now, and Verstappen is up to P7 if he keeps going backwards in that Red Bull. And Kimi Antonelli could be getting some sprint points. Last time we had a sprint race and Antonelli and Leclerc were fighting. They were fighting over a podium in Monza. Leclerc then made contact with Antonelli and saw them both down at the back for the remainder of that race. So yeah, let's hope it doesn't happen here today, as Hamilton's just made a move up into P10. But whilst up front, Russell and Porsche have pulled away from the rest of the field. Valtteri Bottas now 2.4 behind. And now we can really see VCarb versus Ferrari unravel here. And I'll be honest with you, I won't be surprised if Porsche has a late championship charge, because he's been in great form. He saw the better of the VCarb in Azerbaijan. He came P3 in Azerbaijan after really being up there, and then in Singapore he went on to win. He's had good form recently, and he's still proving it today. His race pace and racecraft is so much stronger than what you'd anticipate, as there's Norris fighting Piastri, who's kind of gone backwards this season. He started strong against Red Bulls, he got a win or two, and then it really died down a bit. And it's now Norris fighting Perez. He gives Perez a little squeeze, but he hangs on still. They will fight for P5 still, but to the inside goes George Russell, and he now leads as we enter lap 12 of 19 here. And for a bit of context in this championship, nobody has won in consecutive races since Lando Norris won both Chinese events and the San Marino GP. So, yeah, if Porsche wins this sprint race, he will become the second car to do so. And then nobody has had back-to-back poles this season, meaning George Russell could actually do that here today if he can line up on pole for the main race as well. But now Porsche onto lap 13 to the inside, and he will take the lead once again as Piastri reasserts himself into the top 4. That Red Bull really looking a bit more lively. His championship didn't really start off well, and then with Red Bull's big downfall, his championship really fell apart, and now Red Bull's finding a bit more of their footing. So yeah, Piastri just hanging on over P4 now. If he can get within DRS or Valtteri Bottas, could be good. But anyways, Piastri, Norris, DRS, Norris takes the lead here as the Leclerc mechanical fault. He's down in P12. Hamilton, however, he's got a problem. There's a VSC out though. It's Charles Leclerc who's gone off here by the looks of it. Let's have a look. Crash involving multiple cars.
Here's the replay. It all starts as they reach turn 17.
Yeah, Williams hits him from behind,
and
they both go off. The Williams gets back going though.
More than one unhappy team after that.
That's Leclerc kind of in the mud. And that will be Charles Leclerc out of the sprint race here. And that is a very short Miami sprint for Red Bull. Carlos Sainz, 5-second time penalty. Hello, Rodrigo. Now we wait. But yeah. Last time a driver won back-to-back races, including sprint, was Lando Norris, where he won both sprint and race in China. And then also won the following race at San Marino. Since then, no one else has been able to match that. But Théo Pourchaire can do it here today if he wins this sprint race, as VSC is now ending. Looks like they will be going back underway just in time for Pourchaire to get a dose of DRS here. His rear wing doesn't open though. I don't think he crossed detection under green flags. Therefore, yeah, unable to, but he will get a dose of DRS now. Into turn 1, the V-carb hanging back as Lando Norris has actually got the better of Valtteri Bottas on that restart. As Yuki Tsunoda could possibly have a say on who gets P9 here. Maybe even P8 if they can hang on with Hamilton. But despite that, Porsche versus Russell, the fight continues at the top. It has been like this basically since the start of the race. Since about lap 3. But now, lap 16, almost lap 17, and Théo Pourchaire has the upper hand. Russell to the inside. He will get past. But now Pourchaire, DRS in use for the V-carb, rear wing open to the inside. It's a tight squeeze by Russell, but the V-carb just keeps to his wits and he gains the place. That is now Théo Pourchaire into the lead with 3 laps to go. But Russell, DRS back on the V-carb. It's just going to be a yo-yo, them two going back and forth, as that seems to be how it goes. We're in the points, yes you are, as Hamilton's just been overtaken by Yuki Tsunoda. And now, Russell back to the inside. He's up into the lead. You can still see a counter in a way from Pourchaire, but he didn't get the pace done. He's held back in P2, as it's the penultimate lap now. Time is really running out, and it's starting to run out for Théo Pourchaire, as Russell seems to be pulling away a bit. So let's just have a look here. Yuki Tsunoda having to defend Fernando Alonso here. Alonso to the inside, unable to get the move done, which could have saw the Aston Martin into the points here in this sprint. Pourchaire to the inside of George Russell. A move to be made on the penultimate lap. A move that could change the whole dynamic. As now, Russell overtakes into turn 1. He regains the lead here. But will it be the win? It could be a bit too late for Pourchaire to overtake, but it could have been too early of an overtake by Russell. And now gives Pourchaire the chance. Into the Mickey Mouse section they go. Pourchaire stays behind, and by looks of it, based off how it's gone for the past few laps, there will be a move into the final corner. As now, Pourchaire, can he get a better exit? Doesn't look it. He's really dropped off. DRS. Is he going to get past? He's too far back for George Russell, and George Russell will win the sprint race here today. Pourchaire second, Norris third, as Yuki Tsunoda, as Rodrigo pointed out, he's came home in the points. He's P8 after losing place on Verstappen in the final lap. Ricciardo comes out P13 with Gasly 14th, Colapinto holding up a big kerfuffle behind him in 15th, and then Oliver Behrman, last man to finish here, P19, and Charles Leclerc pointless with
Competition
a
out there was certainly tough today, and it leaves many coming away from the sprint empty-handed.
They'll be disappointed to have not even finished the sprint here today.
Well, here are your sprint results. George Russell wins, followed by Théo Pourchaire, then Lando Norris, Valtteri Bottas, Oscar Piastri, Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen, Yuki Tsunoda final man in points, then it's Alonso, Hamilton, Antonelli, Lawson, Ricciardo, Gasly, Colapinto, Hadjar, Albon, Sainz with fastest lap, Oliver Behrman, then Charles Leclerc. Now, let's go and find out how qualifying goes.
Our weekend continues with qualifying, as the drivers fight it out for a strong
When does
grid
season end
position.
and when do we start negotiations for drivers and staff? You will
But a
find out
driver
very
still needs to have
shortly
total trust in
when
their car
that
setup
does come out.
to get a fast qualifier.
Because it's going to be after this kerfuffle of races where you can start making signings for next season and contract extensions. But yeah, that's how your sprint ended. Let's go into main quali. As Lawson's first car out, then Alonso, Norris, Piastri, so on and so forth. You'll just watch this very quick simulation of it, as neither of my cars will go out to avoid having them interfering. There's currently 7 minutes left. Norris fastest, with Russell slowest. Yuki Tsunoda, great lap there, he's up in P3. Behrman's up in P7, so the Aston Martins and the Mercedes are looking fairly strong. As now, Pierre Gasly at risk, everyone's on an outlap. Behrman's gone second here. As the lap's ticking away, Russell's gone fastest, Colapinto's up in fifth, Porsche, Verstappen now to the top, Sainz and Lawson both in top 5, so they're safe. Let's basically skip to Q3 for this. Teo Porsche, pole position, Lando Norris lines up alongside in P2, Valtteri Bottas P3, with George Russell down in P4, Charles Leclerc 5th, Alonso 6th, Sainz in 7th, Lawson 8th on the grid here. Good performance for McLaren's at the moment. Antonelli 9th, Perez in 10th, Verstappen, the man who went fastest in Q1, out in Q2, followed by Hamilton on the same row, Behrman 13th, Tsunoda 14th, Colapinto 15th, Hadjar 16th, Ricciardo 17th, Gasly 18th, Albon 19th, Piastri slowest of the bunch. And now, let's go straight into the main race, as rain is forecast. Let's see who will win. For those in chat,
Well then,
feel free to leave your predictions,
here we go.
as
with
I
the
can
Miami
guarantee you
Grand
this
Prix.
is going to be a very, very enjoyable Miami GP.
And it's lights out, and away we go.
But Perez has taken a grid drop by the looks of it, as Norris hangs back behind Porsche for the first few corners, as it's all going to unravel here. Norris trying to get past, but wasn't able to. Ignore my sister in the background, focus on commentary, yeah. But yeah, Norris now trying to overtake Porsche here. Can he get the move done, or is it just going to be Porsche's way? As currently the V-Carb leads through this section. I think it's going to be a 1-2 for Mercedes. Where they're currently 17th and 12th. You really are hoping a bit too high for their Mercedes team, but probably a bit of TP bias. But yeah, currently we just wait for an overtake. DRS is now in play, so hopefully we can see something happen here towards the front. Maybe Norris and Bottas swapping places. There's Bottas to the inside and up into P2. A bit further down the field, however, Antonelli's got past Lawson. And alongside that, Verstappen's had an amazing start. He's gone from 11th to 8th. as Bottas fastest lap. He's right behind Norris. No, not Norris, Porsche. I'm used to saying Norris as he tends to lead most of these races. Either that or Porsche. In this case it's Porsche. He's really upping his form as of recent. One of the predictions in the Discord server was who would score most points across these 3 races. It's going to be Porsche leaving this race, but Bottas takes the lead for Haas. Could we see the Finnish driver get a race win here? As Porsche now DRS back on the Haas. Can he go for a move into the final corner? He does have a glance, but it wasn't enough. As Porsche looks to the outside, but there's Russell. Russell overtaking his championship rival. Norris down into P4 now. He's a bit swandered, as now the Ferrari making a further dent in the VCARB's championship lead. But Sainz to the inside of Alonso, and it was almost up into P6 as there's a yellow flag. It's Isaac Hadjar who's had a moment. It's labelled crash involving multiple cars, so let's have a look here. Daniel Ricciardo behind his teammate.
Oh, that's quite
He
an
breaks the
impact between
lane.
them. That
They
will
make
knock their
contact.
confidence, I'm sure.
Ricciardo keeps going, but it looks like Hadjar goes off as a repercussion. But here now, Behrman overtaking Liam Lawson, as Ricciardo has been slam dunked with a penalty for that collision with his teammate, which really is just going to put a bigger dent in Alpine's day here, as Sergio Perez going to have to try and work his way through this field now, as it's starting to extend and expand. Only 5 laps into the 57 here, as we roughly hit the 10th stage now, as you can see just behind Carlos Sainz, Antonelli and Verstappen. Antonelli up into P8 here. Can he even try and overtake Carlos Sainz, who's got Fernando Alonso pressurised, as Sainz to the inside, and he's now leading out of the Spaniards, as Antonelli just hanging on against Verstappen. Lawson around the outside of Behrman. Behrman hanging on and stays in P10 for a while longer, but Lawson, he's gonna fight, and Yuki has now gained P11. That's 1 extra place for Mercedes. As can Yuki make it 2 places so far this lap? To the inside, Lawson's gonna send it as well, and round the outside of him is Lawson. He's still gonna keep it wheel to wheel. It's very risky, and Yuki Tsunoda up into P10 here, but they've lost quite a vulnerable time to the group ahead. Behrman to the inside, back up into P10 though, as Lawson fending off the 7-time world champion with Lewis Hamilton. Can Liam Lawson get the move done though? No, he has to yield and give Hamilton P13. Whilst all that's happened, George Russell is your new race leader. It's really been a chaotic event so far, especially in midfield. But there's Bottas to the inside, up into the lead he goes, but Russell tries to hang on. They're going to go wheel to wheel through this chicane. Bottas given the squeeze, and therefore Russell regains the lead. But Bottas, DRS, so strong of an advantage in a straight line, and he's back up into the lead here. Haas versus Ferrari versus RB versus maybe even Red Bull seems to be the way it's going here today, and I'm all up for it, quite frankly, because it seems like it's going to be a really enjoyable event, and we're only 8 laps in and so much has happened here. As, for example, 2 VCARBs going wheel to wheel here into the Mickey Mouse section. Porsche pushes Norris a tad wide and hangs on to 3rd place. He's not letting his teammate outscore him much more. As now Porsche DRS on Valtteri Bottas, but Norris just so much greater top speed. they're going to keep the fight ongoing, as that's closed. But Antonelli fending off for P7 here. Can he possibly get within DRS of Alonso as Verstappen overtakes the Williams of Carlos Sainz? Antonelli now within a second of Fernando Alonso. That is what they need here. But can Antonelli make any damage here? Or is it just going to go to waste? As, just keeping a look on the deltas at the moment, they're all swapping up front as this battle's also unravelling. Antonelli DRS on Alonso with Verstappen DRS on Antonelli. Is there going to be a move? Not yet, but you can see further down the field it's Liam Lawson round the outside of Hamilton. He's going to get a double dose of DRS here to the inside for turn 1, and he's up into P12 as Behrman has reasserted himself into the top 10. But instead of all that, we go back to the leaders. Russell down the inside, up into first. As you could see there, Leclerc, Porsche fighting over P4. As, if I'm right, rain is due. Let's have a quick look. It looks like it's due towards the mid stage around that 20. And then it goes dry again, and then it's due again at the end. So we could see some strategy coming into play here in Miami. The weather unpredictable, the results even more unpredictable, as this race has really proven, despite there's been clear development up and down field, that the field's so close in terms of competition. You have a Haas in top 5 fighting over podium and that, and then you also have a Haas fighting over 6th with likes of Sauber, Aston, Williams, Mercedes. But there's Norris who takes the lead. It's clear to assume that the V-Carb and the Ferrari are the best cars on the grid at the moment. There's Russell down the inside, up into the lead he goes. Bottas, fastest lap of the race. He's currently a part of the V-Carb sandwich, where the fillings are himself and Charles Leclerc, and now even Russell, as Norris has taken the lead here. We will work our way a bit further back down the field, as this seems to be a more appealing fight at the moment. Over P6, 4 different constructors, whereas for the lead there's also 4 different constructors but 5 cars. But anyways, Antonelli to the inside of Verstappen, a bit of contact by the looks of it, but Verstappen, he's going to have to fend off a bit more against Antonelli. This Sauber, P10 in the standings. He's got Carlos Sainz in this train, who could be a big factor into how the remainder of this season goes, as they're currently split by 22 points, but the Williams is gaining as Antonelli overtakes for P6. Alonso and Sainz wheel to wheel here. Through the Mickey Mouse they go. No contact as of yet. They've kept it clean. Sainz gets a better exit and now pulls ahead. Lando Norris mechanical fault. He's starting to drop ball. As Bottas, he dives into the pit. So has Kimi Antonelli and Alonso. And Yuki. So many are pitting at the moment. I can't actually tell what's the favourable strategy, the mediums or hards. If it's hards, then Sainz and Lawson got up into a good place. Bottas out on softs. Fernando Alonso pit stop issue. As Hamilton, can he make a move? There's a yellow flag out on track. It's George Russell. By what I've deducted, it's Charles Leclerc versus Russell here. They make some contact, and that leads to Russell dropping off a bit. Just going wrong here now for the Ferrari. Anyways, can Hamilton overtake Oliver Bearman here? Hamilton gets DRS. Charles Leclerc handed a 5-second penalty here for causing a collision, as Bearman hangs on to Hamilton as he's now gone into the pits. Valtteri Bottas, he's going to move up into P9. He's going to start a hunt for likes of Bearman. Hamilton comes out the pits just in front of Oscar Piastri. It's good placement for the Sauber, as he's also on softs. Quite a few pitting for the softs, showing how rain is in this strategy. But now, Carlos Sainz. Can he fend off Max Verstappen? Also very close to getting in DRS range of Russell, as the leader of Lando Norris has pitted. Leclerc and Porsche are dueling there. But Norris and Russell and Sainz all into the pits now. Who comes out ahead? Sainz or Russell? It's going to be Carlos Sainz, as the Williams is going to jump the Ferrari. And Antonelli's jumped Sainz as well. So Haas really playing the strategy out well here. As Russell, he's now in very bad territory, as he's got to try and muscle his way back past the Williams. To the outside he goes. Very easily done. Back up to P9 for the Ferrari. Will Leclerc end up chasing after and trying to get a move done on Porsche, as they are really going along here. But yeah. Now, Leclerc. DRS about to come into play once more for the not Ferrari, Red Bull. As to the inside, is it going to be a lead? No. Porsche hangs on. Yellow flag out on track. It's Lewis Hamilton. By the looks of it, he's ran wide in turn 6. Let's have a look.
Oh no! Why
Just the exact same thing Oliver Bearman done there in the sprint race. And he's now down to P16. As the top two both foul in, so has Verstappen. There's Lando Norris, who will be taking the race leader. But where does Porsche come out? Is he ahead or behind of Russell? He's behind Antonelli, just ahead of Russell. It's a squeeze, but he just found that gap. It was minimal. But now, Russell, he's behind Porsche, who's behind Antonelli. But when Lawson pits, based off when he pits, then Antonelli's going to be in fight for a podium here in that Haas. It's a great result so far. Hamilton, mechanical fault. I just want to check something because my standings says Antonelli have 0 points. But I think Antonelli got points in one of the last 3 races or so. Didn't do it in Singapore. Didn't do it in Belgium. What about Singapore? What about Azerbaijan? As yeah, you can watch the race unravel at fun. And there's your tyre deltas. Antonelli actually hasn't been able to score yet. It's him versus Hadjar over 1 point. As there's Russell fending off Porsche, but Porsche gets past. The grip levels fluctuating a bit as it's starting to rain. You can see the rainfall slowly hitting the track. Is it going to be severe enough to trigger a pit stop though? And if it isn't, how are the drivers going to cope? Because in Singapore they really struggled with the changing levels of rain. It was fluctuating between intermediates and full wets all race along. And that really saw the best driver master the conditions, and that was Théo Pourchaire. So, yeah. It's going to be a really good race by the looks of it for Pourchaire again, because it's going to be raining. You can see the track is greasing up a bit as the rain slowly but surely becoming more prevalent, and that is Pourchaire up into P3. But Russell fights back with some DRS back up into the podium, goes to Ferrari. We'll work our way a bit further downfield because there's Charles Leclerc fighting Carlos Sainz, Yuki Tsunoda and Fernando Alonso over P6, and they're all catching up with Antonelli by the looks of it. Sainz to the inside. No. Lawson is getting dropped, says Jeremy Casoke Racing. Why? He's actually outscored Colapinto this season. Colapinto's in P19 in this race, P16 in standings. Lawson's P13 this race, and he's P15 in standings. Lawson, he's getting the better teammate at the moment. Yeah, he's now cut back on it, saying, okay, never mind, after I've just read out the standings to him. As Lawson really is doing well in that McLaren as of recent. He's scored 6 points since Monza. Colapinto, if I'm right, he's only scored 2 since then. So yeah. But McLaren, definitely the weakest car on the grid, as they've only scored 9 points, which is the equivalent of what Pierre Gasly has scored on him zone all season. But yeah, currently points are quite minimal up and down the field. There's quite a clear differential between teams. At an 11th team. Reason why I'll say no is because I'll have to manage them during the race. Unless I can try and find a way around it. Yeah, when it comes to auto manage, I can only do that for races, meaning the team's development is all me. Therefore no, because whoever has my team, they're going to be going backwards, is the nice way to say it, because I've got no clue what to do when it comes to managing a team. But currently, lap 27. Leclerc P5. But yeah, lap 27. Norris leads over these three of Bottas, Porsche, Russell, fighting over P2. Porsche makes a move for P2, but by the looks of it, it's going to be a VCARB 1-2. This is really the weather where it comes to life, as it looks like Antonelli's had a moment,
And yep, it's the
as
Haas
he's
that's
crashed
affected
out
there.
on turn 12. Let's have a look here. Seems to be a spin into the wall, rear wing damage. It's going to really hurt his performance. Maybe see him out of points again, when he's been able to so many times. But now, Porsche, P2, Norris, P1, VCARB, big gains in the standings over their rival, of Ferrari. He's becoming less prominent, I'd say, each event. As yeah, it's really swinging one way in this pendulum as of recent. VCARB have won every race since the last time Ferrari won in Spa, which was, so they won in Baku, they won in Singapore, and then Russell won in the sprint. But across the whole weekend, it's been VCARB each time, as Bottas back up into P2. Russell sitting impatiently in P4, he wants to work his way through the field quite quickly. But Porsche, back to the inside of Bottas, he's into the leader. Yuki Tsunoda, DRS on Charles Leclerc to the inside, no, not able to get the move. Done and dusted. He's gonna wait. Mercedes, however, in a really good place. Yuki Tsunoda, if he scores these points, he'll start really piling the pressure onto Williams and Alpine in the standings. Well, I'll be honest, the most even team on this grid is probably either Mercedes or the McLarens, but they're slightly starting to separate more and more each and every race. Oh yeah, Yuki, DRS on Leclerc to the inside, and through he goes. But yeah, Yuki Tsunoda P5 now. Very good points indeed for Mercedes. Currently outscoring the Williams by 6, make it 4 now, as Charles Leclerc has regained the place. As rain is hitting fairly heavy, but not heavy enough to change the surface conditions from dry to wet. Therefore, intermediates kind of rule out at the moment. Alex Albon, he's into the pits. Antonelli's on the inters. What does Alex Albon go out on? It's also inters. But you can see that Antonelli's had no pace on him so far. You can look at last lap. And apart from Hadjar being slow, Antonelli's about a good second or so off each lap. As into the pits comes Yuki Tsunoda. I'm pretty sure there's Inters. Yes, it is. As he now comes out. Hopefully it gets heavy enough over this lap. Because at the moment, he's just getting a bit lost in it all. Daniel Ricciardo into the pits. He's probably coming out on Inters as well. As for tyre context, yeah, the shift is going to become clear. Lando Norris now into the pits. What does the race leader shift over to though? Is it going to be Inters? It's a green wall tyre. It's Inters for the race leader. Looking such a favourable tyre now. But is it the quickest? Do they actually have course to move on? I think so, because Albon's actually catching Hadjar. So there's more gain on them Inters. Let's see whether or not Norris actually catches Porsche over the next lap. Or is it just minimal gain, as if it's dry versus dry? But no, it does look like a fairly severe gain in tyres. Current drivers yet to pit. Probably are coming in this lap. Porsche's in, Bottas is in. What about Carlos Sainz? He's rounding out the final corner. And he's in. What about Oscar Piastri now? He's in. Oliver Bearman and Gasly. Gasly to the inside, overtaking Bearman. And now they both come in. Are they going to swap places in the pit stop? Verstappen, mechanical fault. There's Gasly, he turns in. Bearman also turns in. He comes out behind Gasly though. As everyone now on to the Inters. As Porsche is finding a fair chunk of time on his teammate. But yeah, 22 laps is the amount remaining. Them 22 laps, we could see 22 overtakes. But who knows? As the track condition has officially been changed to damp, DRS is at a stage where it can be disabled. I believe it has been, as Yuki is not using it, but regardless of that, he's able to just chuck the car down the inside, have a little lunge, but Alonso fends off the Mercedes, who I think really has come to life in these conditions in this race. But so has the V car. But George Russell, he's now within a second of Porsche. Hello to you, Tom. Are you happy with Aston Martin in this race so far? Currently 6th and 16th. Fernando Alonso, of course, doing all the heavy lifting. But he's in a duel over P6 with Yuki, who you can see now is gaining on the Aston. To the inside goes Yuki. Is he going to get past? He did initially, but Alonso just better traction, better line. He fends off the threat from the Mercedes. As second and third have swapped. He says we're doing okay. Doesn't seem too reassuring at Aston Martin. But yeah. Now to the inside. Pourchaire. Can he get past Russell? He's going to need another charge. It's just there. No. Fair enough. Yuki Tsunoda, mechanical fault. As the laps rapidly ticking away, are we going to see another change in place? Pourchaire looking relentlessly either side. To the inside he goes. No. Pourchaire now. Can he go again? Verstappen, mechanical fault. He's got severe mechanical damage on the grid at the moment. But Pourchaire just not able to get past Russell. The Ferrari really proving that his overtaking is something else. But yeah. So Pourchaire just getting a bit impatient now. He knows the V-Carb could come home with 1-2 here in the second race in a row. They done it last time out in Singapore. They can very much do it again this time out in Miami. But then their form has been amazing since Azerbaijan. It was a 1-3 at Azerbaijan, 1-2 in Singapore. It was, if I'm right, a 2-5 in the sprint. And there's just a bit of track data that currently it looks like George Russell is setting, well, Valtteri Bottas is setting the best laps in the top 5. Oscar Piastri, best laps in the top 10 though, as he's catching Carlos Sainz up. But now, Pourchaire, can he overtake? Still no. Been a fairly disappointing event in terms of that question. As we will have a look at tyres, Antonelli's just chucked a new set of inters on, as it seems like they're all going to the end on these inters. But Piastri has now caught up with Carlos Sainz. Piastri needs these points a bit more now, because Bottas, he's clear of him in the standings. But will the Red Bull work his way up into the top 8? Make it a good outcome for the Red Bull duo. Now, 15 laps to go. If I don't talk as much, it's because my throat's slowly but surely getting sorer as the race goes on. I will be grabbing a drink post-session while you have quali simulated. But yeah, Verstappen's up past Piastri. While Gasly has has Hamilton to focus on and try and get past. But yeah, and focal point here are these two, Russell and Pourchaire. They're catching Lando Norris as the track condition has gone to dry. Could we see the dryers back in this race then? Who's going to pit for dryers? Who's going to pit and no? Well, who's going to go dryers? Who's going to stay out and gamble? That's going to be a very important question. DRS is back in play. You can see there Pourchaire overtaking George Russell, and they make contact. VSC and a red flag is now out. I believe Russell's still in this race though. But Pourchaire,
Here we are
however,
then looking at turn
he
12.
isn't. You can see there, contact made,
Oh, and a
then
fairly
Pourchaire into the
substantial
wall.
crash there. Thankfully,
That's
though, they
Pourchaire's
come away-
race out of the window. As we wait for this race to get back underway.
Here we go once more. The
It's
track
going
is
to be
ready,
dry, and it's
so
going
are
to be the
drivers.
sprint race all over again here. It's going to be a duel
Lights out,
to the line.
and away
Who's
we
going to
go.
get there quickest? Here's your question. As Russell, he takes the lead. Norris has dropped to third, as Bottas second. Investigation between Pourchaire and Russell. No further action. As Leclerc fighting Alonso. Can Alonso work his way into the top four here? He's going to get a good run on Leclerc on the exit. But there's Piastri and Verstappen fighting over P7. Piastri, can he go to the inside of Yuki? No, he cannot. But Alonso passed and up into P4 on the other hand. Verstappen and Piastri still going at it. Piastri keeping a nose in there. Now it's all about whether or not he can use this slipstream and move himself up another place here. Can he get the move done? No, they all follow in a single file line. But Pierre Gasly, he's getting fairly eager for some points. Yuki Tsunoda's currently P6. He could help out Mercedes even with that 1 point if he can grab it. As Fernando Alonso has probably very much damaged Lando Norris's championship. As now Alonso is on the podium. Lando Norris unable to overtake. Leclerc gets done in by Yuki Tsunoda there. As there's the red flag, it's the 2 V-carbs by the looks of it. As we will surely get a replay of that. As Oliver Behrman
So let's follow the
is
action
out,
going
we
into
can have a
turn 12.
replay. It's Behrman and Ricciardo.
And ends up
They've done the
making
exact same
contact with the
thing.
barrier.
What
I imagine their
Leclerc-
confidence will have taken a
not what
knock.
Leclerc, Pourchaire and Russell done to trigger the initial one. But yeah, now we have another restart on our hands. And 10
All
laps to
drivers
go
have
this
taken
time.
their positions again. Once more, they're ready to race.
5 red
It's
lights.
out,
And away we go.
away we go.
Russell looks to have got a better start. Behrman this time, unlike last time, has got a penalty. Behrman got a penalty, but Russell didn't for doing the exact same thing. But this time, Behrman ended up out of the race in Pourchaire's boots, so I don't know. As Norris has dropped to P5, you can see a massive kerfuffle back there. Everyone looking for a move on one another. Norris hangs on against Yuki Tsunoda. As there's Sergio Perez dueling with Oscar Piastri. Can he make it into P9? Yes, he will. For now at least. As everyone trying to find a way past. Piastri's pulled to the inside. But they just follow in a single file line once more. Alex Albon up into P13. Liam Lawson drops to P14. But is the McLaren going to fight back? To the inside he goes. Up into 13th for the Kiwi. As there's Yuki Tsunoda really getting to Lando Norris's head. As Norris drops to P6 here. And Verstappen now under threat by the likes of Sainz and Perez. But they just sit in that single file line for the most part. Valtteri Bottas, he's in a good place to take a win here. It will be a surprise win, but it can be very crucial for Haas. As now, Valtteri Bottas takes the lead. Charles Leclerc has just moved himself up into 3rd place. As fastest a lap awarded for Valtteri Bottas. George Russell, however, regains the lead into turn 1 with quick effect. Alonso done the exact same thing George Russell had done on Charles Leclerc. With Norris a slightly more severe mechanical problem now, as there's Bottas fighting back. To the inside he goes, through the Mickey Mouse. Will there be contact? No there won't. And George Russell hangs on to the lead here. Laps are ticking away. Opportunities to overtake are disappearing. as Antonelli Mechanical Fault. He's down in P17. He's already had a very disappointing race. But it's only getting worse for Lando Norris. He is now P8 with Sergio Perez trying to go around the outside through turn 3. Doesn't manage to, but he's all over the back of Lando Norris. That V-car really is struggling, as it looks like George Russell is going to take the championship lead after this race. As there's even Oscar Piastri overtaking Lando Norris. Now Hamilton is in for a chance of getting into the top 10, as Verstappen has had a mechanical fault. He's got smoke puffing out of the car. He's now retiring from this race here with about 4 or 5 laps to go, and that is his race done. Pierre Gasly just has to overtake Lando Norris in order to get a point, but could Lawson or Colapinto beat him to it? As Lando is already very much in the mud here. Could he only be put even further in the mud? As there's Alex Albon trying to get himself past of Franco Colapinto. As there goes the Williams up into P13. Alex Albon has had a very disappointing season, to say the least. He's only scored 1 point so far, whereas his teammate, currently P5, at the end of this race he'll be looking at about 50 points to his name, which is 50 times more than what Alex Albon scored so far, so he may want to try and get a point as well. Sainz dueling with Yuki Tsunoda. Currently Yuki working his way backwards as well. Oscar Piastri up into P6, but Yuki hangs on, and Sergio Perez goes for a double overtake. They keep it going wheel to wheel. Perez has got past. Yuki's going to lose 2 places, as he's going to try and fight back on Oscar Piastri, but isn't able to. Pierre Gasly up into P9 for the Mercedes. As Liam Lawson, he's just behind Lewis Hamilton. We've seen numerous times this race that Hamilton is struggling in that Sauber. Numerous times this season we've seen that, as Lawson's managed to overtake him about 4 times this race with 3 laps to go. Looks almost certain George Russell is going to grab a crucial win here. As there's a red flag, there's another one, and we are so close to the end here, but it's all been refreshed. Let's have a look here. It's Isaac Hadjar with Daniel Ricciardo by the looks of it. No, Hadjar just spins and slams into the wall, and therefore gets Antonelli caught up. And all this has happened in the last 20 laps of the race. We've had 4 DNFs here in Miami, and we are going to be going back underway for a very, 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 very short sprint, as now 5 red lights, and we are back racing here. George Russell versus Bottas. It's the final lap. Whoever crosses first this lap is going to win. Liam Lawson looked like he had a better start, but Bottas is going to lead. Bottas is probably going to win, as there's no DRS here to be used. But will Russell go for a move? Perez in P4. It's been a race flipped on its head for VCARB. They were 1-2 basically before Porsche crashed out, and now they're both out of the points, and Ferrari are both in the top 4. Valtteri Bottas, however, he's going to spoil both VCARB and Ferrari's day, as he's going to win in Miami. Then Russell, so on and so forth, as Liam Lawson gets another point. It's been an insanely hectic race, but Valtteri Bottas prevails and wins for Haas. Absolutely massive result for the Haas.
I think you just have to accept that it's not.
And you can see here, Valtteri Bottas, race winner with fastest lap. Then it's George Russell P2, Charles Leclerc P3, Sergio Perez P4, Carlos Sainz P5, Fernando Alonso P6, Yuki Tsunoda P7, 8th goes to Oscar Piastri, 9th goes to Pierre Gasly, with 10th going to Liam Lawson, 11th for Albon, 12th goes to Hamilton, 13th Norris, 14th Colapinto, 15th Antonelli, 16th Ricciardo, then Hadjar, Verstappen, Behrman and Pourchaire, all failing to finish. For those who haven't seen drivers, because I literally posted about it just before my stream if I'm right. But yeah, Russell now leads with Bottas in P7 now. But yeah, it's all kicking off. As in terms of constructors, Ferrari now leads as well, with Red Bull dropping off a bit and Haas right on the tail of Aston Martin. Mercedes also catching Alpine and McLaren making slight gains. But yeah, that was Miami for you lot. Now let's quickly shimmy our way over to Canada for for the next race at least.
Formula One has arrived here in Quebec, and we're excited to get underway. Let's hope it's not going to be Groundhog Day. The local rodents have disrupted more than one race day here in the past. The Canadian Grand Prix is ready to kick off, and the only drama on the tracks we want to see is the best drivers in the world battling it out for a place on that podium. Not many would envy the job of a team principal in a situation like this. A strong result is imperative here to win back the confidence of the board.
Oh yeah.
Okay then, let's get to it.
That was something. That was something. But yeah, let's now go and simulate practice. Just so you guys can see roughly my procedures for one of these races. Piastri Tops practice. There's a quick run through of the order. Then we do same thing for practice 2. This is probably the best representation of what the race could look like. Oscar Piastri topping it. No, that was FP1. George Russell topped it. McLaren looking really lively, P2. As Behrman will be taking a grid drop today. Let's sim practice 3 now.
Will practice pay off for the drivers?
And now, let's get ready for quali. Perez, top in final practice. And Sauber really looking off. So yeah, while this session sims, I am going to grab myself a drink. I will be back shortly, so don't leave me. Well, yeah, I'm back. Very quick indeed. You've probably been waiting a few minutes. As Leclerc tops Q1. Looks fairly good for setup of this race. Lando Norris, however, pole position. Théo Pourchaire P2. Oscar Piastri in third. Leclerc fourth. Fifth Russell. Sixth Verstappen. Seventh Perez. Eighth Alonso. 9th Bottas, 10th Antonelli, 11th Sainz, 12th Behrman with I believe a 5th place grid drop, 13th Ricciardo, 14th Hamilton, 15th Tsunoda, 16th Gasly, 17th Lawson, 18th Albon, 19th Colapinto, and last is Hadjar. As yeah, you can see that it's going to rain for a good chunk in the middle. Let's get into it.
Final checks are being carried out by the teams, and it won't be long until we get this race underway. Time for Oscar Piastri to show what he can do.
P3 is a decent starting position, and they should get a good haul of points if they play the race right.
The
Quickly
drivers are ready
retire my two
and
cars.
raring to go. It's the Canadian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
And now we can say away we go here. As Pourchaire fighting Norris through the first few corners, joys of having a V-car front row lockout, and then Red Bulls are really good, third and fourth on the grid. But Lando Norris will lead. It's redemption day now for the V-Carbs. They've lost so many points to Ferrari last time out. They need to retrieve some of them back. And this start is going to be what's going to cause it. As the Lando Norris blitzing away. He's already out of a second of his own teammate in the car behind him. As onto lap 2 we go. Lando Norris fastest lap. DRS is now enabled. As looks very likely that there is going to be rain in the next 10 or so minutes, and it will stay with them for almost all the race, but then it'll go back to dry later on. But with the 4 DNFs in Miami, there's nothing saying we won't have a similar race to that. As there's Pourchaire. Oh, pressed wrong button. Now moving up into the lead. George Russell fastest lap. Leclerc fighting over Verstappen, over P5 with Verstappen. As there's a VSC, it's Théo Pourchaire. You could see there, he's out of the race here for the second race running.
There's a yellow flag now.
Let's have a look at that crash in turn 3.
What happened? Now this was at turn 3.
Straight
Within
into
a
the wall.
split second, the impact's made.
Not much
And
else
they'll definitely be
you
facing a
can
few
say about
questions
that.
from the team.
Went straight into the wall. And that's a VSC with Pourchaire out for the second race now. That is really going to be harming his, well, morale, and that could pay dividends in this championship fight for V-Carb, as the Lando Norris now has to try and fight for the team's sake as much as he can. But yeah, not ideal at all. Not ideal at all. But yeah, well, one car out, 19 remaining. A safety car is now ending. We are back underway, but there's already another yellow. It's Andrea Kimi Antonelli, it's another VSC. And I believe it's that Haas out of the race as well.
Oh dear, a crash! There's been a crash!
It's again turn 3. Yeah, practically the exact same mistake Théo Pourchaire made. And that is now two drivers out in the first 5 laps. If this is what this race currently entails, I think we're going to have a very small finish number. But fun. That's what it means. Enjoyable race to commentate. Well, VSC is over. We're back in green conditions. How long will it last though? As now, Norris, he's got to defend Oscar Piastri and George Russell now over the lead. There's Piastri up into the lead. Last time a driver took the lead on entry to a lap, they crashed out the following lap. Will Piastri fall for that fate? No, he won't. As now, we continue the progression of this race. By the looks of it, the whole field makes it through safely, as rain has started to fall. Lap 8 of 70. That just shows how much impact the two VSCs had in this race. As now, there's a bit of rain to spice it up, as Norris regains the lead here, but Piastri going to try and fight back. As what I'm wanting to know is who's going to pull the trigger first, because all the tyres look decent up and down the field, as Perez has just set a personal best sector, as Behrman has had a moment. It's a mechanical fault for the Aston. But yeah, Lando Norris up into the lead once more. Can George Russell try and overtake Piastri? No, he's not able to, let alone making a move. As it's all really going on back here. Bottas wheel to wheel with Carlos Sainz. Furthest back Bottas has been in a long while when it comes to provisional placement. As again, both Ferraris, both in top 4. However, this time, we saw that for a brief second and then flick to Norris. It's a red flag. Let's have a look here. It's Isaac Hadjar. You can see there Colapinto puncture Hadjar goes into the back of Colapinto, and if I'm right, that's going to be both cars out of the race here. Hadjar out for second race running, and Colapinto adds on to that list. But still, we aren't even, well, we aren't even lap 15, and we've just had 2 VSCs and a red flag. As, let's go racing once more, shall we? As it's lap 12 now, Norris gets away nicely, the 2 Ferraris duelling. Hadjar 10-second time penalty for major collision with Colapinto. As Perez is now the lead Ferrari. Is there going to be a big conundrum coming soon? As it started to rain, everyone's on intermediates, and I think that's going to be the course of this race for a while. As there was Ricciardo defending Lewis Hamilton over P10 here. As strategy is now a thing of the past. As, yeah, strategies have gone out the window with all these VSCs and red flags. Because the weather's completely changed in terms of pattern. The rain's probably going to end in about 20 minutes time for this race, so around lap 30, whereas originally it was about lap 50. Meaning we could have a lot more dry running. But Lando Norris, he's got on well with this start. He's pulled away. Piastri in P2 still, doing a great drive in that Red Bull. Charles Leclerc down in P5. So it's not been a bad race at all here in Canada for the Red Bull. But what it has been a bad weekend for is the likes of Porsche, Antonelli, Hadjar and Colapinto. They're all out of the race within a quarter of it. And if that trend continues, we're going to only see about 10 cars finish here. Which is mentally insane. But this could be a race of the season. As yeah, currently they all keep it clean. Piastri trying to find a way past Norris. But I personally take a bit more interest in this. Verstappen versus Fernando Alonso. 4-time world champion versus 2-time world champion. Aston Martin versus Sauber. Could mean everything in this championship if Verstappen can beat Fernando Alonso. As don't get me wrong, Hamilton has just moved himself into the points, so there's a bit more threat from the Aston Martin, even though they are hardly losing points, I'd say, to the Sauber, but they have been losing quite a few to Haas as of recent. And currently they're all keeping it clean. They've already seen quite a few drivers out. They don't want to see too many more. As now Lawson versus Yuki Tsunoda. It's a very nip and tuck. Liam Lawson mechanical faults. As currently no major incidents being caused in this race. As yeah, I don't know what I've been watching, honestly. It's been something on steroids. As yeah, Miami was a joyride. 4 red flags in the last 20 laps. Here, 3 VSCs and a red flag in the first 10 laps. So we've seen very similar events as Piastri trying to overtake Lando Norris there to take the lead. This Red Bull has not won a race yet this season, as the winners have been Norris, Russell, Leclerc, Porsche, Valtteri Bottas, with Piastri and Perez both in the podium at the moment. They could be looking at adding on to the winner tally in this season. As yeah, currently no wins for Sergio Perez on the board. But yeah, it's only only round 15 or whatever. Round 16, that's what it is. But yeah, we've got another race after this today. And then we have a race on Tuesday and one on Thursday. Then the following one on a Sunday. Oscar Piastri though, can he make a move to take the lead in this race? He seems like he's got the pace. To the inside? No. Not able to. The top 5 very close at the moment, as they broke off from the field. Fernando Alonso leads the next group from P6 onwards. But yeah, for the most part, not too bad at all. Well, I'm running out of things to commentate as no one's overtaking, which is a big shame. They're all being too cautious, and now we've seen 4 cars out. But yeah, we have a good, I'd say, 35 minutes left of this race, and based off the current pattern, we can have another hour or so for the final race, as there's Yuki fighting Liam Lawson over P12. Yuki Tsunoda makes the move and gets it done, and moves up into that P12. Well, we just sit back, relax and enjoy the show here. We could see a few more constructors bag points here, such as Alpine in P11, and just on the back of it, they haven't scored in a good few races, and they are one of the few teams who have got a podium this season. Well, one of the few backmarker teams to get a podium this season. Outside the top 5, they're the only ones to do so. But, well, outside the top 6 actually, they're the only ones to do so, between Williams, Alpine, Mercedes and McLaren. But even though they have done it, they're not the highest of them all. Just shows how inconsistent the Alpine team has been this season. As the campaigns are becoming heavily dependent on one-off results. But now, what I have missed in amongst all my ranting about consistency is Piastri's move for the lead. Red Bull now lead this race. But will Lando Norris gain the place back in swift time? Who knows? As currently Norris sits behind quite nicely. Well, yeah. We now just keep waiting. Norris very close to getting a move back on Piastri to regain the race lead. But while they wait for it, there ain't too much we can do, as they're roughly one of the only battles where there are moves being made up and down this order. As there's Norris, had a glance to the inside, wasn't able to get the move done. And now Norris to the outside and up into the lead once again here. Still laps ticking by, but still numerous laps to go, meaning very good chance for some points still. But yeah, for the most part, no worries at all. While we wait for another move to be made, although there's some driver statistics in this race so far, as places have been gained. Hello Rodrigo, you have missed quite a bit in this race, such as 2 virtual safety cars and a red flag, for numerous crashes. The VSEs came out for just woke up from a nap, so Colapinto and Hadjar crashed. That caused a red flag on about lap 9, and then Porsche crashed on lap 3 I think it was, triggered a VSC. Then Hadjar also DNF'd on lap 5 I believe it was, and triggered another VSC. But apart from that, yeah, not much. As it is looking quite dry at the moment. Yeah, you did score in Miami. It was a fair few healthy points for Mercedes as they start to work their way up towards Alpine. But yeah, you've got a fair bit to go left in this race. As while we just watch this unravel, the track is drying up. I am just posting something on the Discord server. Okay, so I've just posted something on Discord server. Now we can go back to commentating. As, yeah, it's, I'd say, a dry road. It's very close to being back to FIA calling it a dry track. As, yeah, there's probably no more rain for the remainder. Yeah, it looks like all sunshine, lollipops and rainbows. So yeah, we get 35 laps of some dry racing. We get some pit stops kicking in. I'll be honest, I think almost all are going to go to the hards for the sake of it. So therefore it will be who pits first. If someone pits this lap round, they will probably come out best. If Ferrari pit both this lap, I think they will need to swap cars, as track conditions have officially been labelled as dry according to race control. DRS is now back in play, as there's Russell making a move on Perez, as we've literally just brought up that the move was needed, as Piastri trying to overtake Norris, he gets the move done. Who's going to be the first in though? As currently, Bottas has just defended Sainz for 7th. No one in as of this lap. Oliver Behrman maybe. Will he end up going in? He's furthest round the lap of all cars at the moment. As Norris has just overtaken Piastri. Into the pits goes Oliver Behrman. So yeah. Who's going to come in out of this top 4 though? No, not top 4, top 5. Piastri, he takes the lead. The top 3 in, Perez stays out, Leclerc also in. But it's a fairly heavy hold up for Leclerc. Bottas has stayed out, Alonso, Sainz, Ricciardo, Hamilton, Verstappen, Albon, Gasly, Yuki, Lawson, all in. But that's a slow stop by the looks of it from one of the Mercedes. As, yeah, most of the stops have been done. Perez is going to lose quite an insane amount of time over the course of this lap. Could possibly see him outside the top 5, but Russell has had a nightmare of a stop. He's down in P10. He's behind Lewis Hamilton, who's even pitted. But Bottas and Perez now in the pits. Piastri leads here in Canada. Where does Bottas come out? Looks like he's going to be coming out in P7 or 8. It will be P7. As Carlos Sainz is in the top 5, fighting Fernando Alonso here over 5th place. As Norris kind of wants to catch up with Oscar Piastri. As this is going to be the first race since, if I'm right, round 2 where both cars get a podium for the Red Bull. It will be an absolute massive result for them if they can execute it, because yeah, they got a double podium in Japan, and that's their only double podium of the season. If they are to finish like this in 30 laps time, they will get another double podium. They were the first team to do it in this series, and looks like they're going to do it again. As now, can Lando Norris get to Oscar Piastri? There's about 30 laps left, and about 15 corners a lap, so roughly 450 corners to go, but take off 15, so let's say 435 to go for this race. As Lawson mechanical fault, George Russell fastest lap, he's in a squabble there over P7. Bottas leads it into turn 1. Fastest lap for Max Verstappen though. Alex Albon's in good place to score some points. There's Liam Lawson, who's just got a mechanical fault. He sets the fastest lap of this race in P13. Him still getting the better of the two McLarens, and really making McLaren question who do they keep next season, as there's a mistake from Hamilton. You've seen just there, he's gone insanely wide, and that was Hamilton from P7, P8, 2 out of the points in a flash of an eye. Well, the same blink of an eye, ain't it? My bad. But yeah, Alex Albon now in the points. First time in a long time for that Williams. As yeah, I think that Williams driver needed a drive like this, a result to come out of this race if he wants to possibly keep a drive. You can have a look, there's no more rain forecast in this race. But therefore it means hopefully no more pit stops for the drivers, which makes it all about raw pace. And if Oscar Piastri can hang on and win, surely the Red Bull is probably the quickest car on the grid again. And if that does become true, then they could look very daring as we enter the final third of the season. This being round 16 of 24. As fastest lap goes to Fernando Alonso, but while we see that, Hamilton, he's not there in this fight, but Verstappen, he's making himself clear in the rearview mirrors, trying to find a way past. Currently no progress. But there's Albon defending to the outside of the Sauber. Sauber, could they be going pointless here? If so, then that's really going to help Aston Martin and Haas start to catch them up in this championship. As Perez, he's 6 seconds off Norris, right and nicely tucked up behind Charles Leclerc. There is still a race on for a podium. As you can see just in the background, Carlos Sainz and Fernando Alonso. I am pretty sure they wouldn't mind chiming in as Perez makes a move. Quite easily, I'd say. But now, will Charles Leclerc hang on here? It's a lap 48 to 70. to the inside goes Charles Leclerc, almost makes contact. There's currently been no DNFs or problems since Colapinto and Hadjar on lap 9. As there's some swapping for places. Sainz moves up into P5 here. Massive move for Williams. They need this on the Astons, as they could start catching the Haas if they're working their way backwards, and they can also comfortably reassert themselves in P7. As there's a yellow flag, it's still out. It's Pierre Gasly who has spun on turn 2. Let's have a look. Just goes into the grass, nice and simple. And now Alonso DRS on Carlos Sainz, looked to the inside, wasn't able to get past. And that's going to be a common trend here. But into turn 1, he gets the move done. It's a favourite place to move. Albon's done the move on Russell there into turn 1 as well. Could move him up into P16 in the standings if he can bag these 4 points over Franco Colapinto. If he manages to go a place high, he'll also take Liam Lawson. Just showing how compact this field is at this stage of the season, especially in the lower places. 14th, 9 points, P20, 0. Anyways, we now have Leclerc attacking Sergio Perez here. For those anticipating 3 races here today, I'm gonna be cutting it short after this race. I just can't commentate. I'm sorry, but yeah. But yeah, Leclerc to the inside, there's a yellow flag out on track. I think that's just Verstappen looking up. But now Leclerc keeps trying to fight Sergio Perez. Well, Piastri and Norris now fighting for the win here. Piastri trying to find a way past Lando Norris. It's getting closer each and every lap, as Norris has only recently got a move done to promote himself into the lead. But yeah, 15 laps to go here. Perez dueling with Charles Leclerc over this final podium position. Could we see a change in the dynamic? Could Red Bull lose a double podium here, as Piastri has just overtaken Lando Norris? Pierre Gasly dives into the pits. Quite a few cars have gone too soft, such as the two Saubers, and then Pierre Gasly, meaning are the Saubers' bids to get podiums not podiums, points if they can catch, as if not, almost certain they won't be able to. Liam Lawson, mechanical fault. And now Piastri looks to the inside, has to end up fighting to the outside. Wasn't able to get past. But Norris and Piastri still fighting over it. Will they get the move done? Currently not. But yeah, these two still fighting. But yeah, lap 63 of 70. Final 8 or so laps of this stream. You can tell based off the way I'm commentating, I'm just not able to anymore. But yeah, let's power through. Norris, DRS on Piastri. But yeah.
We've got a yellow flag here.
Oh yeah, lap 65. There's been a little setback. You know what? Yeah. For those who are in chat, I'm sorry for this lackluster commentary. I just, yeah, need to get out of there. But yeah, final lap. Lando Norris looks like he's going to take a win. But yeah, Lando Norris, he's making his way up to the final hairpin. Final lap. And Norris will win in Canada, followed by Piastri, then Perez, Leclerc, George Russell.
Over the line.
After fairly disappointing strategy play, he's 5th. Valtteri Bottas 6th, with Alonso just shy behind him in 7th. 2 Williams in the points. Sainz takes home P8. Alex Albon with a P9. But there's Verstappen in P10 with Ricciardo just shy. In 11th, Hamilton 12th, Tsunoda, Lawson, Gasly, then Bellman.
Sometimes I think you just have to.
Well, here are your results. Lando Norris wins, Piastri 2nd, Perez 3rd, Leclerc 4th, Russell 5th, Bottas 6th, Alonso 7th, Sainz 8th, Albon 9th, Verstappen 10th, Ricciardo in 11th, with Hamilton 12th, Yuki 13th, Lawson 14th, 15th is Gasly, 16th Behrman, only car a lap down, then Colapinto, Hadjar, Antonelli, Porsche all failed to finish, with Sergio Perez getting fastest lap. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.